Hi, my name's Eric. I'll be reading you selections from this week's Falmouth Enterprise dated Friday, April 10th of 2026. That date's important because we'll repeat this reading through Tuesday of next week. And because many of our listeners enjoy hearing this on the day of publication, which is Friday, the weather report is, of course, relevant. This afternoon, mostly sunny. Nice day today. Probably a high of about 50 with a low around 43 in the overnight. We'll have scattered showers tonight. Tomorrow, Saturday, during the day, it'll be mostly sunny with scattered showers again. High of 55 during the day, and at night mostly clear with a low around 39. The extended forecast for Sunday calls for sunny during the day, mostly cloudy at night with a high of 50 and a low of 43. We believe that next week some of the temperatures may hit mid-60s and might touch 70. So a little bit of warmth is coming right around the corner. There are several meetings scheduled for next week. The Health Board is going to meet Monday at 5:30 p.m. in the Town Hall. The Select Board meets Monday at 6:30 p.m. in the Senior Center. The Economic Development Industrial Corporation meets Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. in the Chamber of Commerce. The School Committee meets Tuesday at 6 p.m. in the School Administration Building. Library trustees meet Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. in the library with a Zoom option. The Planning Board meets Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. in the Town Hall. Solid Waste Advisory Committee meets Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall. The Energy Committee meets Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. in the Town Hall. The Water Quality Management Committee meets Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. in the Town Hall. The Beach Committee meets Wednesday at 6 p.m. in the Gus Canty Community Center. Conservation Commission meets Wednesday at 7 p.m. via Zoom. The Substance Use Commission meets Thursday at 5:30 p.m. in the library with the Zoom option. And the Zoning Board meets Thursday at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall. Quite a few meetings. One of the most full rosters we've had in a while. And because the Select Board does meet on Monday, here is the Select Board agenda. The Select Board set to meet Monday, April 13th at the Senior Center. The meeting begins at 6:30 p.m. with a call to order, the Pledge of Allegiance and proclamation. That proclamation recognizes the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Shining Sea Bikeway. Then recognition, announcements, and the town manager's report before public comment. The consent agenda comes next with licenses. Consider a vote to approve applications for renewal of seasonal licenses pending issuance of 2026 food service establishment permits and certificates of inspection. Seasonal all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license, common victualler license, entertainment license, and Sunday entertainment license for Falmouth Raw Bar, doing business as the Falmouth Raw Bar at 56 Scranton Avenue. All alcoholic beverage restaurant license, common victualler license for Quick's Hole Taqueria, doing business as Quick's Hole Taqueria, 28 Water Street, Unit C. 2. Consider a vote to approve an amended annual retail license certification for 2026 for Falmouth Country Club at 630 Carrot Shop Road. Number 3, consider a vote to approve the application by Falmouth Community Veterans Center at 300 Dillingham Avenue for a special one-day wine and malt beverage license for Saturday, April 18th from 4 to 9:30 p.m. 4. Consider a vote to approve a special one-day all-alcoholic beverage license for Heroes in Transition for the Ruck 4 Hit event at Cape Cod Fairgrounds, 1220 Nathan Ellis Highway, East Falmouth on Saturday, April 25th of 2026. Number 5, consider a vote to approve the application for a change of officers for 2026 by the Falmouth Yacht Club, located at 290 Clinton Avenue in Falmouth. Number 6, consider a vote to approve an application from Buzzards Bay Coalition for a Sunday entertainment license for the Buzzards Bay Watershed Ride Finish Line event at the MBL Swope Center, 5 North Street in Woods Hole on Sunday, October 4th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. On to administrative orders. Consider a vote to approve and execute a confirmatory discharge of mortgage for 60 Lucerne Avenue. Number 2, consider a vote to approve and sign the land disposition agreements by and between the Town of Falmouth and Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc. for the properties located at 20 Brigantine Drive and 21 Pheasant Lane. Number 3, consider a vote to approve a request from the Master Gardener Association of Cape Cod for a variance to sign code 18420. Variances A through C, 18432, A through C. off-premises signs for the placement of 5 off-premises promotional signs for plant sale at Cape Cod Fairgrounds on May 16th of 2026. Number 4, consider a vote to approve a request from Falmouth Theatre Guild for a variance to sign codes 18432 and 18430 for the placement of a sandwich board at the corner of Depot Avenue and North Main Street to advertise a theatrical production of James and the Giant Peach. Number 5, consider a vote to approve a request from Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution for a variance to sign code 18437D, wall and roof signs, and sign code 18420A to C variance for a temporary promotional building wall sign in excess of 8 square feet on the Smith Laboratory High Bay Wall. Number 6, consider a vote to approve a request from Spore Gardens Trust or a variance to sign code 18420 variances and 18432 off-premises signs for the placement of 10 off-premises sandwich board signs advertising Daffodil Days at Spore Gardens on Fells Road from April 12th to 26th of this year. Number 7, consider a vote to approve a request from the Buzzards Bay Coalition for a variance to sign code 18432 off-premises signs for the Buzzards Bay Watershed Ride event signs in Woods Hole on Sunday, October 4th of 2026. Number 8, consider a vote to approve a request from the Juneteenth Community Celebration Committee for a variance to sign code 1847, placement 18432, off-premises signs to hang 14 Juneteenth flags on the light poles on Main Street. Number 9, consider a vote to approve the petition of NStar Electric Company doing business as Eversource Energy and Verizon New England, Inc. for permission to install a new JO pole to be labeled 20645 through 75. This pole location is necessary to provide electric service to 55 Hall Lane in Falmouth. Number 10, consider a vote to approve applying for small grant opportunity, $4,600, from the Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries for green crab removal on Cape Cod. Number 11, consider a request from Cape Cod Guangping Tai Chi Guan Club for a waiver of the special event permit fee for the Tai Chi practices on Saturdays from April to December 2026 at Marina Park from 9 to 11:30 a.m. Number 12, consider a request from Arts Falmouth, Inc. for a waiver of the special event permit fee for the Arts Alive event being held on the library lawn in Peg Noonan Park from Friday to Sunday, June 12th to 14th. Number 13, consider a request from Arts Falmouth, Inc. for a waiver of the special event permit fee for artisans at the harbor at Marina Park, the Bandshell side, on Thursdays from June 25th to August 27th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Number 14, consider a vote to approve the Emerging Contaminants in Small or Disadvantaged Communities grant for conceptual design of the Ashamet Well, a new source approval. And number 15, consider a vote to approve a request from the Falmouth Police Department to accept a donation of $2,000 from Bands for Badges, as well as an in-kind donations of dog food and treats and a 30% discount on canine-related items from the Falmouth Pet Center in support of the Falmouth Police Department's re-established canine unit. Public hearings. Discuss and consider a vote to approve the application by Wicked Shuckers, LLC, doing business as Shuckers at 89 Water Street, Suite B1, for a seasonal all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. A common victualler license has also been submitted. B. Discuss and consider a vote to approve applications by Gordon Hospitality, Inc., doing business as Four Vines, for a transfer of an all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license to be exercised at 291 Main Street, Unit B, in Falmouth, Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. A common victualler license application has also been submitted. Business. A. Report from Edward Marks Building Advisory Committee. B. Presentation from the Cape We Shape Land Protection Initiative, Association to Protect Cape Cod, the APCC. C. Consider a vote to approve an application for renewal of a seasonal all-alcoholic beverages club license, common victualler license, entertainment license, and Sunday entertainment license for Seacoast Shores Association, Inc. at 7 Fairview Lane. Status report on design of a new police station at 100 Brick Kiln Road is next. E. Discuss and consider a vote to appoint members to the Lawrence School Building Committee. F. Consider a vote to approve license agreement for Falmouth Commodore's use of Gov. Fuller Field. G. Consider a vote to approve license agreement for Falmouth Youth Lacrosse use of George Gaspa Sports Complex. H. Discuss and consider vote to amend the Select Board meeting schedule for August of 2026. I. Discuss the potential for retail cannabis sales in Falmouth. J. Discuss correspondence and media inquiry practices. K. Discuss the adoption of an artificial intelligence use policy. And L. Vote to execute the May 19, 2026 election warrant. The minutes. Review and consider a vote to approve minutes of meetings February 25th of 2026 and March 9th of 2026, as well as March 23rd of 2026. Then the Select Board reports and possible future agenda items. LGBTQ plus sanctuary town, discuss walkability improvements, discuss current town website functionality and potential redesign, discuss 10-year spending on consultant fees, long-range financial planning discussion, discuss petitioning the state legislature for changes to Chapter 40B law, discuss the need for a municipal building inventory and review of current and planned uses, discuss adding a third monthly Select Board workshop meeting targeting specific topics, and a meeting with new Steamship Authority General Manager Alex Kriska. And again, the meeting is set for Monday, April 13th at the Senior Center, and it begins at 6:30 p.m. Now, on to the news on the front page. Falmouth Town Meeting wraps with key votes on budget and bylaws by Lynn Hutchinson. Falmouth's April Town Meeting concluded Tuesday, April 7th, after 2 evenings of debate and voting, with members addressing the town's operating budget, housing initiatives, land conservation, and regulatory measures. The sessions, held in the Lawrence School Auditorium, allowed voters to shape priorities for the coming year, with discussions on housing, education, and neighborhood protections drawing the most attention. On night one, Monday night opened with consideration of the town's $183,995,261 operating budget, a 5.8% increase over the current fiscal year. Education received the largest share of funding, with nearly $70 million allocated to Falmouth Public Schools and Upper Cape Cod Regional Technical School. The budget included several staffing additions, including 2 emergency communications dispatchers, a part-time senior center custodian, and temporary funding for an administrative clerk to support a new residential tax exemption program. To balance the budget, Town Manager Michael Renshaw explained that departments had their requests reduced by approximately $2.1 million. $1,066,143 in excess levy capacity would be used, and reliance on local receipts would be increased. These measures leave less flexibility in future budgets, Renshaw cautioned town meeting members. We may need service reductions, new fees, or a tax override if unexpected costs arise. The town had also implemented a soft hiring freeze, requiring departments to justify refilling vacant positions. Housing-related articles drew extensive discussion on Monday. Article 15 proposed a voluntary rental property tax exemption for homeowners who rent units to income-qualified tenants. The measure, which passed with the 2/3 majority required, authorizes the Select Board to offer exemptions of up to 100% of property taxes on qualifying units. Another housing-related measure, Article 16, addressed the town's adoption of the state's seasonal community designation under the 2024 Affordable Homes Act. The designation, which was approved, provides tools to support year-round housing, including property tax incentives and potential housing preferences for municipal employees. Town meeting also approved $2 million for a feasibility study to renovate the Lawrence School at 113 Lakeview Avenue. The funding, drawn from the town's Capital and Debt Stabilization Fund, will allow the Lawrence School Building Committee to hire an owner's project manager and a design team to study possible solutions for the aging school building at 113 Lakeview Avenue. The Mass School Building Authority, known as the MSBA, could reimburse the town for about 38.5% of the eligible project costs. Paul Dart, Finance Director for Falmouth Public Schools, told members the 70-year-old building has outlived its systems, with original steam heating pipes, electrical and plumbing infrastructure embedded within the structure, which make repairs difficult and costly. He said the building also falls short of modern educational standards, with small classrooms averaging less than 700 square feet, limited electrical capacity for devices, inadequate special education space, accessibility issues, and the need for a more secure entrance. The feasibility phase will allow the district, its consultants, and the MSBA to evaluate renovation and new construction options and recommend the most cost-effective and educationally appropriate solution for further design and review. Other articles that passed on night 1 included Articles 1 to 4, 7 to 14, number 19, 26 to 29, and 32 to 35. Town meeting recessed and reconvened on Tuesday evening to address remaining warrant items, including conservation and code changes. On night 2, Tuesday night brought discussion of several proposed changes to the town code, 2 of which generated extended debate. One of the most closely contested articles was Article 20, brought forward by the Department of Public Works, which adopts language restricting the discharge of water and other liquids onto streets and sidewalks when such discharge could create problems. Director of Public Works Peter McConerty told town meeting members that the change was intended to discourage discharges that could cause nuisance and safety hazards. He explained that when liquids such as water from sump pumps flow onto sidewalks or roadways, they can freeze during the winter months and contribute to vehicles hydroplaning. McConerty emphasized that the proposal was not meant to target minor issues such as lawn sprinklers, but rather more substantial discharges that could persist for hours or days and create safety risks. The article establishes fines of up to $300 for each violation. The proposal faced opposition from some residents who said they're pumping water out of their basements onto the streets because of flooding they believe is linked to previous town sewer projects, and they feared they could face financial penalties under the bylaw. Jacqueline Yurga, a resident of Elysian Avenue, described continuing water intrusion in her basement after the excavation of her street for sewer installation. Prior to this work, I've never experienced any flooding issues, Yurga said from the balcony of the Lawrence School Auditorium, noting she's owned her home for more than 40 years. After consulting with both my plumber and engineer, they confirm there were no prior basement water issues, and changes to the groundwater flow caused by disruption from the sewer installation are likely the source of the problem. Yurga said she's reached out to the town numerous times but has not received a response, and McConerty disputed that claim, saying site reports and well testing had been sent to homeowners who contacted the town with concerns. I am deeply concerned that Article 20, as it is written, will penalize me for addressing a problem that in my mind and my experts' opinions was caused by the town's work, Yurga said. McConerty said the town would not seek to impose penalties on homeowners dealing with those types of situations immediately and would continue working with affected residents to address the issues. Precinct 2 town meeting member and Water Quality Committee Chairman Stephen Rafferty suggested that in some cases, groundwater problems could be related to sea level rise rather than sewer construction. I'm not saying everything we're hearing about people having trouble with water in their homes is due to sea level rise, Rafferty said, but if anyone is at the bottom of our peninsula and is experiencing issues with groundwater in their basement, particularly the closer they are to the ocean, it's not likely the cause of the sewer. Several town meeting members suggested that an amendment could be drafted to balance the DPW's desire to protect public safety and town infrastructure with protections for residents who believe they're dealing with flooding related to town projects. No written amendment was submitted to the moderator, and the article passed by a narrow margin with 94 members voting in favor, 91 opposed. Another proposed change to the town code, which would have added language to the town's peddling and soliciting regulations, also prompted considerable discussion. The proposal would have authorized the police department to establish and maintain a voluntary list of residents who wish to remain undisturbed at their homes by commercial hawkers and peddlers. Individuals granted solicitation licenses would receive the list, and they would be required to avoid those addresses. Elizabeth A. Abrams argued that additional regulations were unnecessary. You don't need to answer your door, Abrams said about unwanted solicitation. Honestly, I kind of like talking to Jehovah's Witnesses people. I like talking to people. The town meeting crowd burst into laughter. Other members questioned how the proposal would affect political and religious canvassing and raised concerns about how the list would be maintained and enforced. Precinct 8 town meeting member Henry J.B. Dick said the issue was one of privacy. Limiting hawkers and solicitors from entering someone's property is an issue of personal privacy, Dick said. It's not an issue of free speech. The article was introduced at the request of the police department, which had indicated it was prepared to manage the list. Town Council Maura O'Keefe clarified that the town could not prohibit political or religious groups from engaging in door-to-door activity because of First Amendment protections, but she noted that homeowners are not required to engage with solicitors. It's the balance of privacy. Everyone's rights under the First Amendment, O'Keefe said. Some town meeting members suggested that residents who don't wish to receive solicitors could simply post no soliciting signs. The article was ultimately defeated by a narrow vote, 95 members opposed, 91 in support. Town meeting voters approved a new short-term rental bylaw aimed at improving oversight of vacation rental properties and protecting residential neighborhoods. The bylaw aims to allow the town to better track the number of short-term rentals operating while helping prevent large companies from purchasing multiple homes for use as vacation rentals. Conservation of the Long Pond watershed, one of the town's primary drinking water supplies, was another major topic. Articles 23 and 24 authorized the transfer of 484 Brickkiln Road and 19 additional town-owned parcels to the Conservation Commission for long-term protection. And 2 Community Preservation Act projects were approved. Article 30 allocated $58,200 for a roof replacement of the Wacoit Congregational Church, with Town Council clarifying the funds would only support the historic structure and no religious activities. CPA funding was also approved for the restoration of graves at Oak Grove Cemetery. Article 22, adjusting non-criminal dispositions based on other approvals, passed without discussion, while a petition regarding school dress codes, Article 25, was postponed indefinitely. And I have a feeling that most of the reading will be explaining how and when those different passages and articles will be put into play. So the next headline, Short-Term Rental Bylaw to take effect on January 1st by Lynn Hutchinson. Town meeting voters this week approved a new short-term rental bylaw aimed at improving oversight of vacation rental properties and protecting residential neighborhoods. The goal of the bylaw is to allow the town to better regulate and track the number of short-term rentals operating while helping prevent large companies from purchasing multiple homes for use as vacation rentals. The bylaw allows individuals to hold up to 3 short-term rental licenses and permits, LLCs and trusts, to own rental properties only if individuals are named as the owners, rather than corporate or investment entities. Efforts to develop the bylaw had been underway since 2023. A working group formed that year produced the initial draft. However, that proposal was postponed indefinitely at the November 2024 town meeting. The Select Board appointed the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee in 2025, represented by the Police Department, Planning Board, Select Board, Affordable Housing Committee, Real Estate Professional, and a member of the Community Preservation Committee. Enforcement of the bylaw will be shared among several town departments and boards, and the bylaw will take effect on January 1st of 2027. In the months leading up to town meeting, there was disagreement about which entity should enforce the bylaw. The proposal assigns enforcement responsibilities to the Board of Health, which raised concerns about the additional workload associated with inspections, complaints, and possible license hearings. Jared Jed Goldstone, chairman of the Board of Health and a Precinct 2 town meeting member, said the board had discussed the bylaw several times and acknowledged that not all of its provisions fall squarely within traditional public health responsibilities. Some elements do fall under the jurisdiction of the Board of Health. Many have little to do with public health, Goldstone said. However, due to the current administrative structure of the town, the bylaw has been put with the Board of Health as the hearing body, which we accept. Goldstone said the health agent had indicated that there would be a significant amount of administrative work during the initial implementation of the bylaw, but that it would be manageable with appropriate support from other town departments. He added that enforcement would involve a team effort among the town's inspection services and administrative staff. The board, he said, will monitor how the bylaw affects the health division's workload and could return to town meeting with amendments if necessary. Speaking in his role as a town meeting member, Goldstone proposed an amendment to the bylaw's occupancy limit to allow 2 times the number of bedrooms plus 2 additional occupants, noting that the state sanitary code allows for denser occupancy limits than what the proposed bylaw allowed. The amendment was approved. The cost of implementing the bylaw will determine the licensing fees that are required of rental operators. To ensure compliance, operators will be required to register their properties with the state, and the town will work with a third-party vendor capable of identifying short-term rental listings online and cross-referencing them with the town's registry. The bylaws also state violations will be met by non-criminal disposition and/or civil penalty. Town Council Maura O'Keefe clarified that non-criminal disposition, a $300 fine for every day a violation occurs, would be instances where some part of the bylaw is violated, like overcrowding, parking violations, and noise violations. Civil penalty, punishable through no more than a $5,000 fine for each day, is a violation of state law that allows the town to regulate operators. With the adoption of the new bylaw, town meeting also improved Article 18 without discussion, amending an existing rental bylaw to reflect the policies and provisions of the newly adopted short-term rental regulations. Also, some more detail from town meeting. Lands surrounding Long Pond, formerly protected from future development, by Lynn Hutchinson. Town meeting members supported 2 articles related to the protection of the Long Pond watershed. Article 23 authorized the transfer of the care and custody of 484 Brick Kiln Road to the Conservation Commission, while Article 24 called for transferring 19 town-owned parcels surrounding Long Pond, including 484 Brick Kiln Road, to the Commission for Conservation and Water Protection purposes. The issue of conserving land around Long Pond gained attention recently during discussions about potential sites for a new police station. The Police Station Advisory Committee had previously identified 484 Brick Kiln Road as a preferred location for the facility, prompting significant opposition from residents and the Select Board, who raised concerns about the potential impact on the nearby drinking water supply. Long Pond is surrounded by 23 parcels of land. 2 were already under the control of the Conservation Commission. 2 others are owned by the 300 Committee Land Trust with conservation restrictions prior to town meeting. Precinct 1 town meeting member Victoria Lowell, who petitioned for the broader conservation measure, said research conducted in the months leading up to town meeting indicated that the land surrounding Long Pond had historically been acquired by the town for natural resource protection, particularly for safeguarding the water supply. She said many residents had long assumed the land was protected, but questions about its status arose when 484 Brick Kiln Road was proposed as a possible site for the police station. Research conducted in the months leading up to town meeting shows that deeds, past town meeting warrants, plot plans, and committee reports indicate the town's efforts to preserve the land surrounding the watershed. What we found was that for over 100 years, the town has been doggedly acquiring land for one purpose: protecting the Long Pond watershed, Precinct 1 town meeting member Eric Turkington said. Turkington continued, reading a portion of a report by the Commission on Protection of Long Pond Watershed, that it was the committee's unanimous opinion that it was very desirable and necessary for the town to acquire around the area around the pond to protect it from possibility of any future nuisances. While records indicate the land is already protected, approval of the articles would formalize that understanding and ensure the land will remain protected under Article 97, which would state constitutionally protect land designated as open or recreational space. Not all members supported placing the parcels under permanent conservation restrictions. Precinct 6 town meeting member and Police Station Advisory Committee member Michael Duffany spoke in opposition to Article 23, which addressed the Brick Kiln Road parcel specifically. Duffany urged town meeting members to consider the strategic value of keeping the land unrestricted in case the town needs flexibility in the future. He noted that funding for a new police station has not yet been approved by town meeting or voters and argued that setting the land aside permanently could limit options. He described the decision as premature. Duffany warned that approving the article now could leave the town backed in a corner if plans for a new police station require a different site in the future. Lowell pushed back on Duffany's assertion. To me, they're suggesting that we hold this land hostage in case we want to remove already protected areas from conservation, Lowell said. Precinct 9 town meeting member Joseph Netto also responded sternly. I'm appalled that a member of the committee says, well, maybe we'll come back if the police station fails at 100 Brickkiln Road. That we'll come back here, Netto said. Both articles were approved. Article 23 was approved by a voice vote, while Article 24, at the request of Precinct 8 town meeting member Nicholas Lowell, was voted by roll call. I really think this is the greatest thing. I want it to be on the record that I voted for this, that we all voted for this. I respectfully ask if we can do a roll call vote so we can get it into the history book that everyone here helped protect Long Pond for all eternity, so our grandchildren and our grandchildren's grandchildren can look it up and see we voted to do this, he said. The request required at least 20 town meeting members to stand up to show support for the voting method, and more than 40 people shot up from their seats. This request drew some backlash. I refuse to in these situations, so I will abstain, Precinct 8 town meeting member Henry J.B. Dick said. I think it is obscene Mr. Lowell has put everybody in this room on the spot. This land is almost all protected as far as I can see, and what he's proposed is unfair. I urge everyone else to abstain. Article 24 passed, with 162 votes in support and 22 in opposition. We're a minute or two past the midway portion of our reading. Regular listeners are aware that that's when we move to a different kind of local news, which are the obituaries and death notices and memorials listed in that week's Falmouth Enterprise, and in the Enterprise of Friday, April 10th, the first obituaries of Alan R. Niscala of East Falmouth, formerly of Mashpee, who passed March 20th at the age of 61. He was born in Barnstable and ran Appliance Solutions, first on Cape Cod and later in Boston. He was known for his ability to fix most items. Visiting hours will be held Friday, April 10th, that's today, from 2 to 4 p.m. at Chapman Funerals and Cremations in Mashpee. It'll be followed by a funeral service at 4 p.m. He leaves his wife and many friends and family. The next obituary is of William D. Ware, Sr. of East Falmouth, who died March 27th at the age of 65. He was born in Wareham and attended Falmouth High School, graduating in 1979. After high school, he acquired his Class A CDL license and became a heavy equipment operator. He leaves his mother and wife, as well as many family and friends. Visiting hours will be held tomorrow, Saturday, April 11th, from 11 to 2 p.m. at Chapman Funerals and Cremations in Mashpee, followed by a celebration of life at 2 p.m. The next obituary is of Radcliffe N. Bailey of East Falmouth, who passed at the age of 57 on March 20th. He was born in Jamaica and was raised there, graduating from Denham Town High School in Jamaica. After moving to East Falmouth, he worked as a deli clerk for Stop and Shop in Sandwich and Friendly's in Sagamore for many years. He was known as DJ Bless. He leaves his wife, Merle Bailey, as well as many children, family, and friends. Burial will be held at the Meadow Rest Cemetery in Jamaica. The next obituary is of Carl O. Bowen of Falmouth, who passed on March 30th at the age of 92. He was born in Los Angeles and spent his childhood searching for explanations to his observations of the natural world. He leaves his wife of 69 years, Jean Bowen, as well as his children, family, and friends. A celebration of life is being planned for this summer. The next obituary is of Lawrence Linz of North Falmouth, who passed at the age of 77 on March 20th. He was born in Boston and resided in the Boston suburbs until his career moved him to Annapolis, Maryland, and then Montvale, New Jersey. He leaves his daughters, his grandchildren, and brothers. Services were held March 26th. The next obituary is of Virginia B. Rosa of East Falmouth. Virginia Brenda Rosa of East Falmouth passed on March 27th at the age of 93. She was born in Hatchville and was the youngest of 7 siblings. She was predeceased by her husband of 40 years, William Rosa, as well as many siblings and friends. Visiting hours will be held on Wednesday, April 29th, from 10 to 11 a.m. at Chapman Funerals and Cremations in Falmouth, followed by a funeral service at 11 a.m. The burial will be held thereafter at St. Joseph's Cemetery in Falmouth. The next memorial in the Falmouth Enterprise of April 10th is of Mario A. Ragazio Jr., who at the age of 79 passed away on April 4th. He was beloved husband of Gay Ragazio and a graduate of Bourne High School. Mario went on to earn his bachelor's degree from UMass Amherst and answered the call to serve by joining the U.S. Army, where he served during the Vietnam War. Mr. Ragazio Jr., thank you for your service. Continuing his commitment to military service, Mario spent 32 years with the Air National Guard at Joint Base Cape Cod, working as a communications controller, a role he carried out with dedication and pride. In addition to his loving wife, Gay, of 51 years, Mario is survived by his family and friends. A visitation will be held at Chapman Funerals and Cremations at 475 Main Street, Falmouth, on Thursday, April 16th, from 4 to 7 p.m. A funeral service will be held at St. Barnabas Church, 91 Main Street in Falmouth, on Friday, April 17th at 10 a.m. Burial will follow in the Massachusetts National Cemetery in Bourne. In lieu of flowers, any donations may be made to the Falmouth Service Center or to Special Olympics. The next memorial is of Michael D. Pacheco of East Falmouth, who passed on April 6th at the age of 55. Born in East Falmouth, he was a beloved father, son, brother, partner, and loyal friend. Mike lived a life defined by adventure, precision, and an unbreakable bond with those he loved. He was a 1989 graduate of Falmouth High School and a skilled diesel mechanic, working alongside his father at the family's business, Ron's Truck Stop, Inc. in Hyannis. His garage was his sanctuary, a meeting place for unpretentious company, cold beer, and legendary storytelling. Mike is survived by his son, Reed, and many family and friends. A visitation will be held from 4 to 7 p.m., followed by a prayer service at 7 p.m. next Friday, April 17th, at Chapman Funerals and Cremations at 475 Main Street in Falmouth. There'll be a private burial at a later date. The following residents, former residents, or family of residents of Bourne, Mashpee, and Sandwich recently died. Stephen B. Angelique, 74, of Leominster, died April 2nd. Anne-Marie Cadieux, 80, of Sandwich, died April 5th. Mary L. Gototweski, 87, of Mashpee, died on March 30th. Rosemary O. Holland, 82, of Mashpee, died on April 5th. John J. Kelleher, 94, of Buzzards Bay and Chatham, died on April 4th. And Susan M. Weiner, 85, of Mashpee, died on March 26th. And that concludes the obituaries, death notices, and memorials that are published in the Falmouth Enterprise of April 10th. Back to the news. Tax incentive wins approval. Year-round rental tax incentive wins approval by Lynn Hutchinson. Town meeting members approved Article 15 this week, adopting a state law that allows the town to create a voluntary property tax exemption program intended to encourage more year-round rental housing. Supporters said the program could help address workforce and demographic challenges facing the community. Precinct 2 member Karen Bissonette framed the issue as one of long-term economic sustainability. We're an old community and we need workers, Bissonnette said, listing municipal positions. Those are not going to be most of the people of the age in this room. So we need young people in this community. We really need that demographic in this community or we're not going to have services. Bissonnette received applause for her comment. The measure authorizes the Select Board to offer property tax exemptions to homeowners who rent units to income-qualified tenants at affordable rates. The board will determine the program's specific parameters, including rent levels and income limits, though tenant income cannot exceed 200% of the area median income. The tax exemption could be as much as 100% of the property tax on the qualifying unit, and it could be adjusted annually by the Select Board. The program, which has been adopted by municipalities throughout the Cape and proposed by the Affordable Housing Committee, is voluntary, and it's designed to encourage homeowners to rent properties long-term, rather than using them for short-term rentals, potentially expanding the town's year-round housing supply without requiring new construction. With housing, it's going to be every tool we can think of, Select Board member Douglas Brown said. It's never going to be one cure. The units under this program would not be deed restricted and therefore would not count toward the town's subsidized housing inventory. Proponents of the program say it's a less expensive way to increase and retain attainable housing. Select Board Vice Chairwoman Heather Goldstone offered a hypothetical comparison to illustrate the potential impact. If the town offered 100% exemption of about $5,000 for 100 qualifying homeowners, the total cost would be about $500,000 per year, while potentially supporting 100 affordable rental units. By comparison, the town currently contributes about $150,000 from its affordable housing fund to create a single affordable unit, a process that can involve land disturbance, construction, and several years to complete. 100 rentals through the exemption, or 4 units, is the kind of comparison that we're talking about in terms of bang for the buck from our affordable housing fund, Goldstone said. John Beattie of Precinct 3 raised concerns that the incentive could unintentionally disadvantage middle-income renters if landlords targeted lower-income tenants to qualify for the tax break. Assistant Town Manager Peter Johnson-Staub said the state law gives the Select Board flexibility when setting those eligibility requirements. This local option actually is designed to help the missing middle, Johnson-Staub said. He explained the town's goal is to create housing opportunities without the expense of new construction by stimulating rentals for households earning roughly 80 to 200% of the area's median income. So no, I don't believe it would have any negative impact on affordable housing, he said. A number of members said the article lacks a lot of figures, asking what percentage of homes in town are currently rented, how much the exemption might be, and whether landlords have shown interest in participating. This article has more questions than answers, Joseph A. Netto of Precinct 9 said. Elizabeth Klein from Precinct 6 and a member of the Affordable Housing Committee emphasized that participation would be voluntary and that the program is expected to be modest in scale. The Affordable Housing Committee does not believe this program will be the thing that solves the problem, Klein said. This is not a gigantic problem or program. She pointed to Provincetown's similar program, which has about 62 participating rental units. Every rental unit is a person who's housed in a safe and secure setting for a year at a time for a relatively low cost, Klein said. Renter and first-time town meeting member Athena Eicher spoke in opposition, saying the program incentives property owners who have the finances to have or purchase a second home to rent, while a homeowner who may benefit from the tax break but don't have the means to rent out a portion or all of their property or their main residence would be left out. Peter L. Clark of Precinct 1 and a member of the Affordable Housing Committee urged members not to let unresolved details derail the measure. This is being complicated by worries that don't need to overwhelm us, Clark said. It's a one-year, voluntary process. The Select Board will be setting the parameters with a lot of discussion, protecting revenues at the same time they're trying to provide additional housing. The article received the required 2/3 majority support on night 1 of town meeting. Town meeting accepts seasonal community designation in Falmouth by Lynn Hutchinson. Town meeting has accepted the state seasonal community designation, though the benefits associated with the program won't take effect until the town adopts two related zoning amendments. Created under the 2024 Affordable Homes Act, the designation is intended for communities with large seasonal population shifts, and it provides municipalities with tools to help expand year-round housing opportunities. Town meeting this week approved accepting the designation by the required two-thirds vote, 132 in favor, 48 opposed. After a discussion that focused largely on the zoning changes the town must adopt within 24 months of accepting the designation in order to access the program's benefits. Those proposed amendments would allow by right development of attainable housing, units generally between 80 and 200% of the area median income, on undersized lots in single-family residential districts, excluding light industrial and marine districts. The change would permit construction on lots smaller than the district minimum, with a minimum size of 10,000 square feet, or 25% of the required lot size in some districts. A second amendment would allow tiny homes of up to 400 square feet as year-round housing units in residential districts where single-family homes are permitted, again, excluding light industrial and marine districts. The homes would be detached dwellings serving as the principal structure on a lot. The proposal would not require the town to allow movable tiny homes on trailers by right. Those could instead be regulated through special permits or prohibited altogether, Community Development Director Jed Cornock said. Cornock also clarified that the tiny homes allowed under the proposal would be separate from income-based affordability requirements. Technically, he said, a 400-square-foot home could already be built under current zoning in areas where single-family homes are permitted. The difference, under the seasonal community designation, would be how the property could be used. The difference is it would be year-round housing for folks who want to live there, Cornock said. Right now, if someone built a 400-square-foot home on their lot, they could turn around and make it a short-term rental. Under the seasonal community designation, that wouldn't be allowed. It would only be for year-round residents. Several voters, including Precinct 5 member and Planning Board member Charlotte Harris, said they were concerned there wasn't enough information about how the zoning changes could affect neighborhoods and property owners. I'm not against most of the provisions of it, Harris said. I really think what we should do is delay it until we know a lot more about it, that we actually understand these regulations and we understand the impact of the 6 programs and the full impact of the requirement that says we're going to change our zoning. Harris added that while property owners could choose whether to pursue such projects themselves, they'd have no control over whether neighboring properties did. Similar concerns were voted by Maureen Harlow Hawks of Precinct 6, who said some homeowners intentionally purchased property next to undersized, unbuildable lots. I know a lot of people who bought houses next to unbuildable lots for a reason, Harlow Hawks said, so that would probably eliminate that safety net that they had. Others raised concerns about how the changes could affect the character and appearance of neighborhoods. The designation and acceptance of the zoning change also give the town access to additional housing-related tools. They include year-round occupancy restrictions, expanded property tax exemptions for primary residences, and housing preferences for certain municipal employees and artists. The town could also establish a year-round housing trust to fund the creation or preservation of attainable housing for residents earning up to 250% of the area median income. Cornock said the town cannot pursue those measures without first accepting the seasonal community designation. Peter Clark, a Precinct 1 town meeting member and a member of the Affordable Housing Committee, made a plea saying the designation could help address the lack of housing for younger people who work in town. It's a huge loss for any community, Clark said. You're talking about changing the quality of the community. My God, what you've got is a lot of expensive houses with older people living in them. That changes the quality of the community in my mind. While town meeting approved accepting the designation, Cornock emphasized that the zoning changes would still go through a separate public review process. The Planning Board would first hold hearings on the amendments before they returned to a future town meeting for a vote. Acceptance of the state's designation itself does not change the town's current zoning laws. Our next headline in the Enterprise of Falmouth for April 10th. Falmouth finalizes contract for incoming fire chief by Lynn Hutchinson. Falmouth has finalized a 3-year contract for its incoming fire chief, Jeffrey Lewis, who's set to start May 4th. The contract, signed April 2nd, sets the new chief's starting salary at $210,000, along with annual increases, vacation and sick leave, and up to $10,000 to help him get settled in town. His employment will mark a shift in the department's leadership tradition, as the town has historically promoted fire chiefs from within the department, making Lewis the first chief hired from outside the organization. He comes to Falmouth from Fairfax County, Virginia, where he served as fire battalion chief. He'll bring more than 3 decades of fire service and emergency management experience to the role. His experience includes both domestic and international operations. Under his new contract with the town, Lewis will receive a weekly salary of $4,038.80, equivalent to $210,017.60 annually. His salary will increase each July by the same percentage granted to the town's non-union technical, administrative, and managerial employees. The contract also outlines a range of standard benefits, including enrollment in the town's health, dental, vision, life, and other insurance plans, as well as the town's retirement system pension program. Lewis is allowed to accrue up to 20 days of vacation annually, 12 days of sick leave, and 3 personal days each fiscal year, along with 13 designated municipal holidays. To assist with his move to the Cape, the town will reimburse Lewis for relocation expenses up to $10,000, provided receipts are submitted within the required time frame. The town will also provide Lewis with a department vehicle, a smartphone, a uniform, and other necessary equipment, along with reimbursement for professional association dues and approved conference travel. Lewis's more than 3 decades of experience include being a battalion chief, overseeing 46 staff members of the Fire Inspections Section and Inspections Administration Unit within Fairfax County's Office of the Fire Marshal. Earlier in his career, Lewis had also served as battalion chief and program manager for the Fairfax County Urban Search and Rescue Program, Virginia Task Force 1, a federal FEMA urban search and rescue team. Lewis has participated in 17 disaster deployments, responding to multiple hurricanes in the U.S. as well as international emergencies, including the 2021 Haiti earthquake, the 2023 Turkey earthquake, and the volcanic eruption in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He's also held roles as a flight paramedic, firefighter, assistant chief, and advanced life support provider in both Virginia and New York. Beyond field operations, Lewis has spent more than 2 decades teaching in emergency medical services and disaster response. He served as adjunct faculty at Northern Virginia Community College's Medical Education Campus and as an assistant course coordinator in George Washington University's Emergency Health Services degree program. He holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration from George Mason University. Lewis will take over the department following the retirement of Chief Timothy Smith, who stepped down in January after nearly 40 years with the Falmouth Fire Rescue Department. Since Smith's retirement, Deputy Fire Chief Chad Abston has served as acting fire chief and emergency management director. Final story on the front page: Race for School Committee tightens. 6 candidates remain, by Katie Nelson. Of the 8 candidates who originally pulled nomination papers to run for school committee, 3 have withdrawn their names. Raquel Russell, Peter Steedman, and Amanda McGonigal have all confirmed with the Enterprise they won't be running. Other candidates who have returned nomination papers for the 3 available seats include incumbent Susan Augusta and challengers Brandon Edsel, Patricia Morano, and Megan Zodoli. Augusta has been on the committee for 29 years. Russell said she'll continue to stay involved by volunteering at T-Ticket and advocating from the outside for students and teachers. I believe I can make a greater impact from the outside by continuing to ask questions, push for accountability, and bring transparency to important issues that are facing the district, Russell wrote in an email. Steedman and McGonigal both said they don't have the availability required for the commitment. McGonigal said she's heading to Washington, D.C. to campaign for congressional candidates for the midterm elections, and said she'll continue to fight for students in a broader national sense. In announcing her decision not to run, McGonigal was critical of the town, the current school committee, and the political climate in town. This town is shown time and time again. They're just going to play the same old games, she said. You've got old-timers trying to edge out newcomers and bullet vote candidates to pursue their own agendas. It's shameful. School committee members serve for 3-year terms. McGonigal, by the way, announced her decision not to run and threw a few flames as she was heading out the door. Terry Medeiros and Christopher Lumping, whose current terms on the committee end in May, are not seeking re-election. The deadline for candidates to withdraw from the election in time to have their names removed from the ballot is Thursday, April 16th. Town election will be held May 19th. And with an editorial about the upcoming election, here is the Falmouth Enterprise editorial board's publishing this week for Friday, April 10th. A busy ballot reflects both interest and division. This year's Falmouth town election promises more activity than usual. More than 20 candidates will appear on the ballot for town-wide seats. It's a level of participation that we welcome. In a time when contested races are increasingly rare, residents are stepping forward. But a busy ballot also reflects something more complicated, both heightened interest and, at times, clear divisions over the town's direction. 3 major town-wide races highlight the mix of incumbents, challengers, and personalities in play. The Select Board has 2 seats up for grabs, with current chair Bob Mascali facing challengers Katerina Cedrone and Liz Klein. The school committee, with 3 open seats, initially had 8 candidates, but Amanda McGonigal and Peter Steedman have recently withdrawn, as you just heard, narrowing the field to 6. This race could shape up to be particularly divisive. Just take a look at Amanda McGonigal's letter to the editor this week to get a sense of some of the discord. You heard what she said in the prior reading. The final town-wide race is for 3 seats on the planning board, which drew 4 candidates, including 2 incumbents. Most other town-wide positions have at least 1 candidate, leaving the 5-year seat on the Falmouth Housing Authority as the only post to be filled by a write-in. At the precinct level, most town meeting member slots are filled, though contested races remain in precincts 1, 2, 3, and 6. Precincts 8 and 9 still have unclaimed seats. The Enterprise is busy writing profiles of all the candidates in all of the town-wide contests. This week, we emailed questions to those candidates, which will run on the website capenews.net. We had hoped to get them into the paper too, but with so many candidates, we just don't have the room on our pages. It's a good problem to have, and a testament to both the willingness to serve and the competing priorities shaping these races. If they have not done so already, voters should mark their calendars. The annual town election is Tuesday, May 19th, with polls open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early in-person voting runs May 11th through 15th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Town Hall, and the last day to request a vote by mail ballot is May 12th. And with that, we've come to the end of our reading of the Falmouth Enterprise for today, Friday, April 10th of 2026. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other, and remember our veterans, especially those we've lost recently. Bye for now.